What you doing here? Where I'm supposed to be?
The audience walks into this space and you want to elicit emotion. And I thought maybe there was a way in the set design to convey this feeling of entrapment. And really it was about, like, what if we just put this bombed out hut in a box? Sort of a metaphor for these girls, the way they're entrapped.
The Broadway play Eclipsed, about women kidnapped into sex slavery in Liberia, has 6 Tony Award nominations, including Denai Guerrera for Best Play, Best Director for Liesl Tommy, Best Actress for Lupita Nyong'o, and Best Costume Design for Clint Ramos.
I grew up, I was born and raised in the Philippines, and I'm an immigrant in this country. So I've always sort of looked at the United States from an outsider's point of view, although I've lived here for a long time. What drew me with Eclipse was that there are these 5 characters who are essentially looking for a semblance of home in this chaotic world. That feeling is very familiar to me, I think, with most immigrants here in the US.
Hey, Lamontre, you name your baby after Clinto, and maybe he gonna come rescue you.
You've worked with Liesl Tommy before?
Yeah, this is our 15th collaboration. She's one of my dearest friends, but she's a very exacting director. We immersed ourselves in the research and made a collection of images that reflected our emotional response. And with costumes, you know, she and I really just go into each character and think about who these characters are. It's about 30 sketches for Eclipsed. I do my costume sketches with a pencil and, you know, I scan them up, and then I do most of my painting through Photoshop or the computer. I actually impose the patterns of the fabrics onto it and paint with a stylus or a computer brush, the skin tones and the fabric tones.
And where did you hit upon the idea of the women wearing vintage t-shirts?
Liberia had in essence become this repository of America's discards, which is like a great metaphor for everything else that we do in that nation. It was also a great sort of entree to an American audience, because I think that was the challenge, like how do we introduce this African culture to an American audience? And I think seeing Lupita in that Rugrats and that vintage Rugrats t-shirt was a direct access to that.
She walking with a big wedding dress.
African wedding dress.
No, it was the white.
You are Tony nominated for your costumes.
Yes, I am.
But you also designed the set for Eclipse.
Well, I do both. With scenery, I do the initial concept sketch, you know, and then I work with assistants and associates in my studio to come up with a painted elevation or a rendering. We use this program called Google SketchUp, and we spin it around, try to see if the sight lines work. I think the most difficult part was trying to find a visual fulcrum for the set. The play takes place in multiple locations, right? But they always go back to this sort of bombed out hut. We came up with the color red for the floor because it's a color that's often found in African dirt, but it also reflected the bloodshed that was happening during this war. You know, I based a lot of the design of that hut on extant research. Akozua, who plays the character of Rita, actually is from Ghana, and she had done a lot of advocacy in Liberia, and she was actually literally in one of those. I think it was the first time she walked on the set that it brought her to tears, and it brought her back. It's wonderful when that happens.
Please share this video, click like, and tell us what you think in the comments. We love making these Artisans videos, and that's how you can help us keep on making them. There are all different kinds of set designs. Click on the box on the left to see what went into creating the wizarding world of Harry Potter at Universal Studios Hollywood. Click on the box on the right to see how an Oscar-winning production designer recreated Cold War Berlin for Bridge of Spies. To never miss an Artisans video, click on the subscribe button. That will sign you up for the Variety channel. There's a new Artisans video every week, so come back soon. Thanks for watching.